A major name just appeared on the witness list for Keffe D's upcoming Tupac Shakur's murder trial.
Suge Knight. And look, when you first hear that, you might automatically think Suge is finally about to take the stand and tell everything he knows about what happened that night. Because Suge wasn't somebody who heard about the shooting afterward. He was driving the BMW. Tupac was sitting directly beside him, and Suge survived the shooting.
That makes him the only living person who was actually in Tupac's car when everything happened.
Seeing his name on the witness list is significant. But here's the part some of those headlines are leaving out. Being placed on a witness list does not mean Suge has agreed to testify. It doesn't even guarantee that prosecutors will call him.
Suge has made it very clear that he did not want to testify against Keffe D.
So is Suge Knight really about to take the stand? Or is his name simply included because prosecutors have to prepare for every possibility? And before we get into it, remember that Dwayne Keffe D. Davis has been charged, but he has not been convicted. He pleaded not guilty, and the prosecution still has to prove his allegations in court. Let's break it down.
If you did not have anything to do with Tupac Shakur's murder, who do you think did?
Reggie Wright Jr. All he do is lie, is tell stories.
For anybody who hasn't been following the case closely, just a quick background. Dwayne Davis, better known as Keffe D, is the only person who has ever been charged in connection with Tupac Shakur's 1996 murder. He is charged with murder with the use of a deadly weapon, along with gang-related allegation. Keffe D has pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors allege that he helped orchestrate the attack and supplied the weapon used in the shooting.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that prosecutors are accusing him as personally pulling the trigger.
The case is based on the allegation that he was involved in organizing and assisting the crime. A major part of the prosecution's case reportedly relies on Keffe D's own words.
And then you hear these girls say, Tupac, Tupac.
He's hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next?
And we just came. Oh, shit. Once he got to reaching, I got to ducking.
Over the years, he has discussed the shooting in interviews, conversations with law enforcement, and his memoir. Now, those statements that may have once sounded like street stories or entertainment could potentially be used as evidence inside a courtroom. His defense disputes the prosecution's interpretation of those statements and has argued that portions of what he said were exaggerated or fictionalized.
Jury selection is scheduled to begin on August 10th, and prosecutors are currently seeking a life sentence rather than a death penalty.
So why does Suge Knight's name matter so much? Suge Knight is a former CEO and the co-founder of Death Row Records. At the time of the shooting, Tupac was one of Death Row's biggest artists, and Suge was one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop. On September 7, 1996, Suge was driving a black BMW in Las Vegas. Tupac was sitting in the passenger seat. They had attended the Mike Tyson fight and were traveling to a nightclub when a white Cadillac pulled alongside their vehicle and opened gunfire. Tupac was seriously wounded and dead 6 days later at only 25 years old. Suge was also injured, but he survived. That makes Suge the only living person who was actually sitting inside Tupac's vehicle when the shooting happened. He may potentially be able to speak about what happened before the shooting, what he saw when the other vehicle pulled up, and what occurred immediately after. Now, that doesn't automatically mean he saw the shooter's face or can identify everyone involved. But when the only surviving person inside the victim's vehicle is included on the witness list, prosecutors are naturally going to be interested in what he may say. Let's clear something up, because the wording of those headlines can make the situation sound more dramatic than it actually is. A witness list is a roster of people one side may potentially call during a trial. This particular list reportedly contains more than 200 names. That can include eyewitness, police officers, investigators, experts, and people who may only be needed to authenticate one specific piece of evidence. Being placed on that list does not mean that person has agreed to testify. It also does not mean prosecutors have made a final decision to call them. Some people on the list may never enter the courtroom. The attorneys may decide their testimony is unnecessary. Evidence may be admitted through another witness, or the direction of the trial may change. So the statement, Suge Knight is on the witness list, appears to be accurate. But saying Suge Knight is definitely testifying would go much further than what the list itself proves. Right now, Suge is a possible witness, not a confirmed witness. And here's the part that makes Suge's inclusion complicated. After Keffe D was arrested in 2023, Suge Knight was asked whether he would testify in the case. Suge said in his own words, 1000%, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't testify. That is a very direct answer. He has also discussed knowing Keffe D for many years and said they played football together when they were younger. Suge made it clear that he did not want to help send Keffe D to prison. So the person people are calling a potential star witness is also someone who has publicly expressed no interest in cooperating. Suge is currently serving a 28-year prison sentence in California for a separate fatal hit-and-run case stemming from a 2015
The video
incident.
obtained by TMZ shows the January 29th incident where Knight's truck apparently runs over the two men. The truck backs up, hits one man. Seconds later, the truck comes back and runs over that man.
That does not automatically prevent prosecutors from attempting to obtain his testimony, but it adds another layer of difficulty. He would have to be transported or potentially appear through another approved agreement, and prosecutors would still be dealing with someone who has already said he does not want to help their case. So what happens if prosecutors call someone who does not want to testify? It can become unpredictable. But forcing someone in the courtroom does not guarantee that person will provide useful testimony. A reluctant witness may give short answers. They may say they don't remember important details. They may dispute previous statements or provide testimony that does not help the prosecution the way the attorneys expected. And we have to remember that nearly 30 years have passed since Tupac was killed. Memory can change over time. People can forget details, confuse timelines, or mix what they personally witnessed with information they learned afterward. The shooting also happened quickly, at night, and under extremely chaotic circumstances. So even though Suge was inside the car, that does not guarantee he saw everything clearly. This is not necessarily going to be some movie moment where Suge enters the courtroom and reveals the entire truth. His testimony could potentially be important, but it could also provide very little information. Suge Knight is not the only recognizable name included in the prosecution's witness list. The list reportedly includes Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo, who was a Las Vegas police officer when Tupac was killed. Former LAPD detective Greg Kading is also named. Kading has publicly claimed that Keffe D admitted his involvement during a 2009 interview conducted as part of law enforcement investigation. Former Las Vegas Mayor Oscar Goodman is reportedly included as well. Members of Tupac family and numerous law enforcement officials also appear on the list. The number and variety of names show how large and historically complicated this case has become. This investigation has stretched across 3 decades. Different police departments, old interviews, documentaries, books, and numerous public theories. But the same rule applies to every person named. Being included on the list only means prosecutors may call them. It does not guarantee they will testify. So here's the full picture. Suge Knight, the only other surviving person who was inside Tupac's BMW, is included on the prosecution's witness list for Keffe D's trial. That makes his name significant, but it does not guarantee that Suge would testify. He has reportedly said that he does not want to take the stand, and even if prosecutors successfully call him, there is no guarantee he will provide the answers people have been waiting for almost 30 years. At the same time, I understand why prosecutors would include him. How do you bring a case involving Tupac's murder to trial without at least attempting to hear from the other person who was sitting beside him? But regardless of how people personally feel about Keffe D, the legal process still matters. He has pleaded not guilty. He is presumed innocent, and the prosecution has the responsibility of proving his allegations beyond reasonable doubt. The public cannot convict someone based on documentaries, interviews, books, or internet theories. The evidence has to hold up inside the courtroom. One of the biggest questions in this trial will be whether Keffe D's previous statements were truthful admissions or exaggerated stories told for attention, money, or notoriety. Because those words are no longer just being discussed on podcasts and in documentaries. They could now be examined in front of a jury. And as for Suge Knight, we will have to wait to see whether his name remains on the list or whether he actually appears and tells the court what he remembers. But through all the headlines and courtroom discussion, Tupac and his family need to remain at the center of this story. A 25-year-old man lost his life, and his family has waited nearly 3 decades for answers. This case deserves to be discussed with facts, dignity, and respect, not treated like another piece of entertainment.